am your instructor for the subject Computer Organization and Architecture. In this subject, we have started Unit 8, that is Input-Output Organization. In this unit, we are going to see today the topic that is Input-Output Processor, or you can say IOP processor. So let me start with the topic. IOP is similar to DMA except that it is designated to handle the details of IO processing. Unlike a DMA controller that must be set up entirely by the CPU, the IOP can fetch and execute its own instruction. The IOP instructions are specifically designated or designed to facilitate IO transfer. In addition, IOP can perform other processing tasks such as arithmetic, logical, branching and code translation. This is the block diagram of the computer with the two processor is shown over here. That is, it has a CPU and it also has the IOP, or you can say input-output processor. And this IOP is connected with the peripheral devices like PD1, PD2, PD3 and so on. This connection is through IO bus. The memory unit occupies the central processor position and it can communicate with the processor by means of direct memory access. Here, second thing, the CPU is responsible for processing the data needed in the solution of the computational task. The IOP provides the path for the transfer of data between various peripheral devices and the memory unit. The CPU is usually assigned a task of initiating and the IO program, and from then the IOP operates the independent of the CPU and continues the transfer of the data from the external device and the memory. The data formats of the peripheral device differ from the memory and CPU data format, and the IOP must structure the data words from many different sources, because it has a many peripheral device. It can be printer or it can be auxiliary memory or anything. For example, it may be necessary to take 4 bytes from the input device and pack them into 32-bit word before transferring to the memory, because maybe your memory word size is of 32-bit. And data are gathered in the IOP at the device rate and the bits capacity while the CPU is executing its own program. After the input data is assembled into memory word, they are transferred from IOP directly into memory by stealing one memory cycle from the CPU. Similarly, an output word transfer from the memory to the IOP is directed from the IOP to the output word transferred from the memory to the IOP. In most computer system, the computer is master while the IOP is the slave processor. The CPU is assigned the task of initiating all operations, but the IO instructions are executed in the IOP. The CPU instruction provides the operation to start the IO transfer and also takes the IO status condition needed for the making decision on the various IO activities. The IOP in turn typically asks for CPU attention by means of the interrupt. The instructions that are read from the memory by the IOP are sometimes called as a command to distinguish them from the instructions that are read from the CPU. So you can tell it as a command rather than the instruction. The communication between the CPU and IOP may take different forms depending on the particular computer consideration. In the most common cases, the memory unit acts. The sequence of operations may be carried out as shown here in the flow chart. This flow of communication starts from the CPU. First, CPU sends the instruction to the test the IOP path. Then IOP processor transfers the status word to the memory location. If this status word is OK, then the CPU sends the start IO instruction to the IOP processor. Then the IOP processor accesses the memory for the IOP programs. And at the same time, now onwards, the IOP will process the IO data and the CPU will process its own task, that is continuously going on. For the IOP, it conducts the IO transfer using the DMA and prepare the status report at the end. When the IO transfer is completed, this IOP processor sends the interrupt to the CPU, and the CPU will request the IOP status, and then the IOP processor will send the status word, and then the CPU will check the status register if this transfer is okay or not. If this transfer is okay, then it will continue with its own task that is already going on. So by this way you can use this IOP processor. Here we have to consider that when the IOP terminates the execution of its program, it sends the interrupt request to the CPU. The CPU responds to the interrupt by issuing the instruction read the status from the CPU. The IOP responds by placing the content of its status report into specified memory location, and that the status word indicates whether the transfer has been completed or if any error has been occurred during the transfer. From this inspection of the bits in the status word, the CPU determines if the IO operation was completed, satisfied or without error or not. So by this way you can use this IOP communication. And another thing we have to take care is that this IOP take care of all the data transfer between the several IO units and the memory while the CPU is processing other programs. And the IOP and CPU are competing for the use of the memory, so that the number of devices that can be operating is limited by the access time of the memory. So you can use this IOP processor for transferring the data. So here we are ending our today's session. If you have any query, then you can contact me.